What's up everybody, Camero here. E3 2019 has been going on and there's been a hell of a lot of gaming news and I'm really excited about a lot of it and I figured I would make a video to talk about it. I recently did that Thundaga's thoughts for Pokemon Sword and Shield and I want to do something kind of similar for E3 2019. Right away though, the very first thing that I have to say is that Nintendo is definitely the winner of E3 in my opinion, with Square Enix coming in second place. Nintendo had all the stuff that I wanted to see. I am a huge Smash fan and a huge Banjo-Kazooie fan. Banjo-Kazooie is like one of my favorite games. So naturally, seeing the news that happened today about Banjo-Kazooie being added to Smash and looking so good, has to be the best thing for me. I'm also a big Dragon Quest fan. I played Dragon Quest XI and Dragon Quest VIII, so seeing the hero from Dragon Quest being added to Smash is also huge news for me, although not as huge as Banjo. I feel like that's the general consensus a lot of people had. They saw the hero from Dragon Quest be announced first, and they were like, oh, well, it's not Banjo. If this is all we're getting, I guess. And then Banjo comes out, and then just, poof, you know, the hype explosion, like the bomb just, it went off. I personally exploded with hype right then and there when I saw it. I was watching the trailer and Donkey Kong was sitting there in the cabin and the little Jiggy went bouncing by it and I'm like, this is it. This is the moment. I saw that and I was like, yes! And then from there on, Banjo comes out, you know, they did the little fake out and it was really good. Definitely, you know, like the K. Rool trailer. I loved it. Listening to the music too and hearing that Grant Kirkhope is doing the music, or that he did the remix for it, is also like, that's amazing. It's also good. Banjo looks like he's going to be really good, and the hero from Dragon Quest looks really interesting too. He has like an MP bar, and the way that they are like handling him having all the spells and stuff looks really interesting. At first when I saw him, he looked a little bit like too similar to Link, where he had like the same dash attack and like looks like he had kind of like generic sword fighter stuff, but it definitely seems like he'll have some unique stuff that sets him apart. And like I said, I mean, I played Dragon Quest XI. I feel like a dummy because I played it on PC a while back and now they're releasing the definitive edition for the Switch. And that's one thing that I kind of hate, actually. I really hate when you're playing a game and then they release the definitive edition as a console exclusive some other time. Like, I don't know, it just feels really bad. I already beat it, and Dragon Quest XI is a huge game and I don't want to play it again, but I'm excited he's in Smash. I mean, I already got the Fighter Pass, so you know I'm going to be getting both of them. I'm going to play so much Banjo-Kazooie. Ugh! It's so good. And then another thing that Nintendo wins for is Breath of the Wild sequel being announced. It looked really kind of interesting. There was like a revival of Ganon looking thing, and I'm certain that they're going to like deform the terrain in some way or like massively change the landscape, because it looked like it was taking place in the same like kind of Hyrule field area as the first Breath of the Wild, but you know, the castle did look like it was rising up out of the ground there, so I'm really excited about that. Breath of the Wild was a very good game, and I'm certain that they'll knock it out of the park with the next Breath of the Wild, because, like, they've shown what they can do. Now, with the same engine, like, let those creative juices flow and, like, make something even better. I don't know why, but, like, I'm very confident that the sequel will probably be even better than the first game, because that's how a lot of sequels are. Like, they figure out what they're doing, and they nail it, and Breath of the Wild really friggin' nailed it. So Breath of the Wild 2 is gotta be just, it's gotta be mind-blowing. It's gonna be great. At least, that's my inner gut feeling. I'm not making a promise here, but that's just how it's gotta be. That's just how it's gonna be. And Luigi's Mansion 3 also looked very interesting. The Gooigi and, like, the fact that it took place in, like, an abandoned hotel with all the towers and stuff, like, that's a very good premise. There's a lot of really good opportunities for exciting gameplay to come out of that, and I really like the first Luigi's Mansion. I didn't play the 3DS one, Dark Moon, and maybe I should, actually. I do have a 3DS, but I'm certain that Luigi's Mansion 3 is also going to be really good. Just looking at it, like the vibe and everything that they had, Nintendo was killing it. And then for other Nintendo stuff, there was the new Animal Crossing that they showed off. I used to play Animal Crossing on the DS, and I'm not as into it now, but I definitely thought it was a very cute little reveal that they did, and I'm glad that something that so many people have been asking for so long is finally being worked on, or finally coming to them, because I know that they've been working on Animal Crossing for a while now. They must have, but it looked pretty cool. It took place on an abandoned island, and you were kind of, it's not like a survival game, but you're kind of like customizing the island and filling that out how you want to, and I thought that was kind of cool. And then for the other Nintendo stuff, I personally didn't really care about any of that stuff as much, just because like the Banjo-Kazooie news was so like mind-blowingly perfect for me. It was like the single one thing that I wanted out of E3, because I'm like Banjo-Kazooie and Smash fan, so seeing stuff like Fire Emblem Three Houses didn't really interest me as much, because I do like Fire Emblem Path of Radiance a lot, and some of the other like older Fire Emblems, and even Fire Emblem Awakening, I guess, but this new one kind of seems a little bit too Harry Potter school-ish for me, and that actually makes me like it less. Like, I don't want to be taking care of like students or any of that, so I'm sure the game will be fun. I mean, hell, I might even try playing it, but I don't know, it felt like a little bit too anime schooly for me, which is really interesting to say considering it is Fire Emblem. It's just the direction that the franchise is going. Like, just let me play Path of Radiance again. Like, that's the kind of style that I want personally. And then all the other Nintendo games that they showed, I'm going through a list right now. Panzer Dragoon, Demon X Machina, that one actually looked kind of cool. Contra Rogue Core, No More Heroes 3, and Astral Chain. I'm personally not as into any of those. I'm sure that they'll all end up being pretty good games. Demon X Machina looked kind of interesting, and No More Heroes 3, I know Travis Touchdown has actually, people have been wanting to see him in Smash, but I never played any of those games, but I'm certain that that one will be pretty cool too. And Astral Chain does kind of interest me because it's from Platinum Games, and you know, they did like Bayonetta. They actually did the Legend of Korra game, which I played and was ass. But Astral Chain looked potentially promising. I haven't seen enough info on it, actually. Maybe I need to be watching more Astral Chain stuff. But yeah, Nintendo. Friggin' Banjo-Kazooie Hero for... and the hero from Dragon Quest being added to Smash. Breath of the Wild 2 is in development. Oh, and then Link's Awakening. I forgot to mention that. I'm definitely going to be getting that. Link's Awakening on the Switch is coming out September 20th. That looked really good. It looked really cute also. And you can like make dungeons in it with like Dompe in the game. And I just really want to play that also. And then Luigi's Mansion 3. Nintendo had some of my favorite stuff, but they weren't the only company with presentations. I want to talk about some of the other companies, like Square Enix. They did pretty good. So, the very first thing that I have to mention is obviously Final Fantasy VII Remake. That looked really cool, really HD, like, it's hard to describe it exactly, but when I was watching it, I was hoping that it was gonna be a little bit less like Final Fantasy 15, and it kind of proved to be that. I personally didn't like Final Fantasy 15 as much, and I was hoping for something that was a little bit more like action timer. I'm trying to think of the proper way to phrase this exactly, but looking at the gameplay for Final Fantasy 7 looked very cool. The way that they showed like the boss fights and like that big scorpion and the awesome like HD like remixed music that was going on during it. One thing that I'm kind of afraid of, at least looking at the trailer or the footage that they showed for Final Fantasy VII Remake, is you just wailing away at bosses and taking like 100 hits to kill them, because Barrett was doing like 1 point of damage at some time, and I'm certain he'll be doing more damage later, but it'll be interesting to see how they handle all that stuff, like all the, it's not wild battles because it's not Pokemon, but you know, like random battles popping up and taking all of those out. But I think it looked really good. The art style and like just the graphics and everything looked really good, and I actually still have never beaten Final Fantasy VII myself. I'm kind of a poser when I'm talking about this excitedly without even playing that billion-year-old game. Not a billion years. I got like 2/3 of the way through it, okay? But it looks really good, and I definitely want to play it. I am interested in seeing how they balance everything, though. The ATB gauges seemed pretty interesting, and the ability to switch between the party members was cool as well. Apparently that's a feature that's been in Final Fantasy 15 now that they've been updating it, but I only played vanilla Final Fantasy 15, so I didn't like it as much. But yeah, for other games, let's see. Ooh, more Dragon Quest stuff. So they showed some of the definitive edition for Dragon Quest 11, which of course still breaks my heart to see. And then Dragon Quest Builders 2. I never got into Dragon Quest Builders, and apparently it's a pretty good game, but when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is too similar to Minecraft. I don't want to play it. But it has a story mode, and I believe you level up and, like, unlock a lot more stuff, so it seems like it has more, like, involved, like, gameplay mechanics that kind of, like, guide you to do things, as opposed to Minecraft, where it's just kind of, like, you do whatever you want. But yeah, I don't know. I'm certain that that would be a good game as well. It's just, for some reason, seeing that it's similar to Minecraft makes me want to play it less. I'm certain that there's plenty of people who see that it's similar to Minecraft and they want to play it more for that reason, but not me. And then Final Fantasy XIV, the MMO, I've never played that, but people were getting really friggin' hyped for that. There's a huge community who's totally into Final Fantasy XIV. I'm not one of them, but I'm excited that people are getting some really cool stuff. Life is Strange 2, I don't really care. I never played Life is Strange 1, so I'll just pass over that. Outriders. That game looked kind of interesting. I kind of got like a weird like Gears of War feeling from it, but it seems... I don't know, maybe I would have to like look into more info about it, but from the trailer that I saw, they made it almost look like it was a roguelike or something where you're like repeating a cycle because they like open the door twice. At least, hopefully I'm not like brain farting. I think that's what happened in it. It looked alright, I guess. Oninaki. That game I'm pretty interested in, actually. Seeing the Oninaki footage didn't really change my perspective on it, though. I feel like I didn't really gain any more info about Oninaki, but that game is kind of cool because it seems like a Day of the Dead. Well, not Day of the Dead, not like Mexico, like the holiday, but kind of there's like a world of the dead, and going in between the world of the living and the world of the dead is kind of something that appeals to me. Like, I kind of just dig that aesthetic. I really like the movie Coco, to bring it back to the Mexican Day of the Dead holiday. But, yeah, I don't know. Something about the lore of that world intrigues me. Something about going into the world of the dead, or, like, dealing with those ghosts and fulfilling their requests so that way they can, like, part from the mortal coil or the mortal realm or whatever. And the gameplay looked pretty fun, kind of hack and slashy, kind of Diablo-esque actually, but I'm interested. Count me in. I'm gonna play it. And then the last thing Square Enix showed off was the Avengers trailer. That one looked really interesting. I didn't see... There wasn't any gameplay, so it was just one big, like, cinematic. And everybody looked kind of off to me. Maybe it's just because I'm used to the Avengers movies and seeing the live-action actors. But something about it just felt off. I think it was their voices, honestly. Like, they kind of looked weird and they kind of sounded weird. But in terms of everything else, it was pretty cool. I just kind of wish there was some more gameplay, because it left me with a lot of questions. Like, the thing fell down, and the Avengers are resented, and they're breaking up or whatever, of course, because that's just what the Avengers do. Like, there's so many plots where it's like, do they work together? Oh, they butt heads so much. But I mean, I guess that's the charm of the Avengers, because it's like getting a group of people to work together, and it's very realistic too, because no matter what team you're on, people are going to be butting heads. But it looks pretty interesting. It's going to be coming for the PC, PS4, One, and Stadia. I'm excited to see what Google does about the Stadia, but I'll save that for another point of discussion, because now I gotta move on to the next company. Okay, so I'm looking at the list of Ubisoft stuff now. I was really hoping that there'd be more interesting Assassin's Creed content for them to show. They showed the story creator mode for Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is pretty cool, and I am fans of developers giving the community more tools to create stuff, because oftentimes the stuff that the community creates is really good and sometimes surpasses the quality of the main game. Like Left 4 Dead is a great example. Like on PC, the community maps are... Ooh, they're good. However, I was kind of disappointed just throughout the entirety of the Ubisoft press conference, because none of the games really interest me. Maybe it's because I'm more of like a niche gamer who doesn't play a lot of like mainstream games right now, but I'm not very interested in Watch Dogs, and the majority of their conference felt like it was about Watch Dogs and Rainbow Six. I am not really into Rainbow Six or Watch Dogs. They did look like they had some good stuff there, and the direction that they're going with Watch Dogs was really interesting, though, seeing that there was permadeath for your characters and you had to recruit more characters, but they also recorded so many voice lines for all the characters. I feel like there's no way that the actual end product can be that in-depth. There's no way. For them to have permadeath for all the characters and have just so many damn voices, I feel like it would cost way more money than it's worth to have that many different voice actors. So maybe they would record 5 or 6 voices and just have them play for all of the different characters. But they also said everybody's names. So like they referred to all the people by name, and they had like a lot of attention to detail. So I definitely feel like Watch Dogs Legion, the trailer, was misleading. I don't feel like the game will actually be that good at all, just because it's Ubisoft as well. They kind of have a tendency to, you know, be flexing a little bit for the for the E3 press conference, and then the actual game kind of, you know, like you versus the guy she tells you not to worry about, kind of, except like in reverse, where the thing that they're showing off is really good, and the end product, you know, it's like looking at a picture of a burger on a menu. Anyway, essentially what I'm trying to say is none of the stuff from Ubisoft really was too crazy interesting for me. The Brawlhalla Adventure Time crossover is interesting. I never would have expected to see the Adventure Time characters in a Smash-esque fighting type game. I mean, I'd never played Brawlhalla, but that's kind of cool for the people who do play Brawlhalla and are Adventure Time fans. It's like, good for you. I mean, I'm a fan of Banjo-Kazooie and Smash, so today was my day. If you're a fan of Brawlhalla and Adventure Time, yesterday was your day. Ghost Recon, I don't really care. Gods and Monsters, I don't really care. And then an update to their Uplay subscription, I don't really care either. So yeah, Ubisoft in general, I kind of just don't really care too much about what they were doing. Like I said, I would have liked to see more interesting Assassin's Creed content, because there have been rumors that the next one would be like a Norse Viking one. That'd be really freaking cool. Maybe we'll see that next year. Maybe, I don't know. If this year is the year of Watch Dogs for Ubisoft, maybe next year will be the year of Assassin's Creed again. You know, bring it back. I'd be down. Okay, now I'm going to talk about Microsoft. So the new Xbox is called Project Scarlet, and they say it eats monsters for breakfast. I'm kind of interested in that. I mean, I used to have an Xbox 360 in high school, but nowadays I would never buy an Xbox, just because right now there's not enough games to interest me, and I'm more interested in like PlayStation and Switch stuff anyway. I know that they're really desperate to get people back onto the Xbox console. Like, they have that Game Pass, which is actually like a killer deal for people who just want to play all of the 5 games that the Xbox has to offer. But hey, they're adding more games now. I'm kind of interested in Halo. I mean, that was one of the primary reasons that I had an Xbox in high school, because all I played was Halo and Gears of War. And this year they showed off new stuff for Gears 5, kind of. There was that trailer where it was like all the faces screaming in different directions. I played Gears 4 and it was okay, so I'm actually not really interested in Gears 5 right now. And then Halo Infinite sounds interesting. If it really is Infinite, I wonder if they're going to be pushing the community-created content even further, because forging maps... Oh, I'm sorry, I'm like taking my water bottle. Forging maps was like my favorite thing to do, like, at all in all the Halo games. Halo Reach and Halo 3 in particular, I just went crazy on the Forge feature, so if they do something like that for Halo Infinite, then maybe they could bring me back. Although they're saying it'll launch for Windows 10 as well, so I don't think I even need to get an Xbox. All this other stuff is like, do I really need to get an Xbox if they're also going to be putting them onto PC? I don't know, I don't feel like I do. And then there's Borderlands stuff. I'm kind of interested in Borderlands 3. I used to play a ton of Borderlands 2, but it's such a time sink that right now I feel like, as a responsible adult with a job and not a college kid, I have less free time to sink into Borderlands, and that makes me want to play it a lot less. Although Borderlands is such a fun game to play with your friends. Like, if I was to play it, I would want to do co-op with my friends, and we would have I know we would have a fun time, but I don't know if it's less on Borderlands and more just me hanging out with my friends. Like, Borderlands is a great excuse for me to hang out with my friends, but I could just do that for free instead of buying the game. But I don't know, we had a ton of fun playing Borderlands 2, and they just did announce a free DLC for Borderlands 2, which is crazy. Borderlands 2 came out a long-ass time ago, and they still are developing DLC for it. I mean, it's cool that they're adding DLC to kind of bridge the gap between Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 3, but I never would have expected for them to release new DLC for such an old game. So that's actually kind of cool. Good on Gearbox for that. I appreciate that, at least. Let's see, Cyberpunk 2077 looked pretty interesting as well, and the whole Keanu Reeves reveal. I'm not as big of a Keanu Reeves fan as everybody else is, because I'm the one person on the planet who hasn't seen John Wick, and I know I need to. I know I need to. You don't need to tell me that I need to, because I know I need to watch John Wick. But that's very cool that he's in the game, and the realistic motion capture that they're getting is looking so good in games nowadays. Like, seeing how Norman Reedus looks in Death Stranding, and now seeing Keanu here in Cyberpunk, it's mind-blowing how good it looks. Like, that's actually Keanu. It looks just like him. I think it's really cool, and it's nice for them to get buzz and people talking about their game, because there was already buzz for Cyberpunk because CD Projekt Red did The Witcher 3, and they're really, really, really good. So everything that they touched so far has been really good. So Cyberpunk 2077, I'm certain will also be really good. So I'm excited to see how that turns out. Oh, they also showed a new Dragon Ball Z game that seemed kind of interesting, kind of like larger scale battles. I'm kind of into it, but I don't know. I used to play Dragon Ball Z Budokai on PS2 and then Tenkaichi. I'm surprised that I like remember all these, but I don't know. I might get it, I might not. Lately, I feel I've been kind of steering clear of like anime fighters, because I got Naruto Ninja Storm and I didn't really like it very much, because I kind of have a tendency to prefer the older, simpler games, not these ones that are like have more complex fighting systems. But it looked like it could be really good, and they're telling that story of like early Dragon Ball Z, so I could be down. They're making another Battletoads. I don't know how to feel about that. Is this an HD remake, or is this an entirely new Battletoads? I'm actually going to go and do some more like diving into this right now. So it looks like it's going to be a new game, and I kind of don't like the look of the art style of it. It's interesting because Battletoads has been like a huge meme for a long time, like calling into GameStop and be like, haha, do you have Battletoads? And then them being like, yeah, sure, no. So now when people call and ask for Battletoads, they'll actually have something. So I don't know. I don't know why the game had to be made. I don't think it looks very good myself. I'm not very excited. Sorry. And then there's the sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest, Ori and the Will of the Wisps. That looks like it's going to be very good. I loved the first Ori and the Blind Forest because I'm a big fan of just like Metroidvanias in general. And seeing this look just as beautiful, if not more beautiful than the first Ori and the Blind Forest, which is probably one of the most beautiful games ever made to begin with, that's exciting. I definitely want to play that. One thing that I think is really intriguing as well from like a fan game creation perspective is one of the level designers on Ori and the Blind Forest 2, or just Ori and the Will of the Wisps, was the guy who made AM2R, which is another Metroid 2 remake. So, and that got like taken down by Nintendo, so it's kind of a case of a fan game creator kind of being like excelling in game design and then rising to like a professional level. So I'm excited to see how it turns out just from that as well, because I'm rooting for that guy, man. Go fan games. And another thing that was interesting but kind of intriguing and maybe not enough info was released was Elden Ring. That's a game being made by From Software, and it's like Miyazaki and George R.R. Martin from Game of Thrones working together on like the lore of the world and the story. So I feel like it'll definitely be a compelling game, and since it's From Software, it's gonna be like Dark Souls, or at least like Sekiro. Sekiro was really good, by the way. But yeah, seeing this, I don't know what to expect. All I know is seeing From Software, I'm led to believe that it'll be at least a third-person action game with brutal difficulty. So we'll see how that turns out. If George R.R. Martin's in it, then who knows, like, maybe it'll have a compelling enough world to make the game go super mainstream. Because, like, Dark Souls is popular, and all the games that they make, From Software makes, are really good, but I don't know if they've, like, truly broken into like the major mainstream. I guess if they're making the game crushingly difficult, then maybe it's not going to break into the super mainstream, because I'm thinking like little kids playing it like Minecraft or something, because Game of Thrones is like a huge household name. Dark Souls kind of is, but like, I don't know, kids aren't going to be playing that like they're playing Minecraft and Fortnite, you know what I'm saying? Essentially what I'm excited for this game. Who knows what it's going to be like. I hope I see more of it soon. And then looking at the list of all of the other Microsoft announcements, I'm not really too interested in all of the others. I kind of am interested in the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga, just because I used to play a bunch of Lego Star Wars when I was younger, and I thought it was funny and interesting, and it's like a good drop-in cooperative game, pretty easy to get into. I never beat Psychonauts 1, so seeing Psychonauts 2 was unfortunately something that I'm not as interested in. Wasteland 3, I'm not as into. Forza, I'm not as into. Tales of Arise, I'm not as into. Phantasy Star Online, I know there's like a ton of people who are super into that, and I played a little bit of it on Xbox, I think. But unfortunately, I'm not as excited for that. Seeing that doesn't really evoke too many emotions for me. And State of Decay 2, I'm not as into that either. Yeah, looking at everything else, it looks like nothing else is really too interesting to me for Microsoft. And a Blair Witch game and a game called Bleeding Edge from Ninja Theory. Yeah, I'm not really as into any of those. Microsoft acquiring Double Fine, I don't know. That doesn't interest me as much either. Like, none of this other news is like too compelling to me. So those were my thoughts on Microsoft, at least. Okay, now for Bethesda. Nothing that they revealed interests me at all. I'm sorry, this is going to be a short one. I should have played the last Doom, but I didn't, so unfortunately seeing Doom Eternal doesn't excite me. Deathloop, Elder Scrolls Legends, Wolfenstein, Orion is a technology that'll help improve game streaming, Rage 2, Fallout 76 Nuclear Winter Update and Battle Royale, Elder Scrolls Blades. Yeah, none of that. I don't feel like I would end up playing any of those at all, personally. There's a lot of games here, and none of them are something that I feel like I'm gonna play. I would probably play a new Fallout, but not Fallout 76. Ooh, hey, take it easy there. And then maybe a new Elder Scrolls, because they last year... No, was it last year that they said that they were working on the next Elder Scrolls? Or was that a different event? I don't know. But, I don't really care about anything else Bethesda's doing. Sorry. Ooh. Let's see. And then EA Play. The Star Wars stuff looked kind of interesting, like a third-person Star Wars game. I hope that that doesn't suck, because the Star Wars fan base has been so, like, flippy-floppy wish-wash, like, burned on a lot of stuff that they thought was going to be good and ended up not being very good. So I hope that that's cool. I mean, it seems like a third-person action game, which is interesting, kind of, looked pretty cool in terms of like using the lightsaber and swinging that. Maybe like Dark Souls-esque? I don't know. I don't want to be that guy who compares every game to Dark Souls. I don't want to be that guy. But I hope that game's pretty cool. But yeah, everything else that EA revealed, I'm not as into, like Apex Legends, Sims, Madden, FIFA. Yeah, that's about it for that. I don't really have too many thoughts on EA stuff. And then for the PC Gamer show, I also don't really have too many games that I'm interested in there. Like, Shenmue 3 is interesting. Not for me to play, but just to see that release, because I know that that's another game that people have been asking for a very long time. So seeing the story kind of conclude from Shenmue 1 and Shenmue 2, or hopefully conclude at least. If they made a Shenmue 4 after that, that'd be ridiculous. But, yeah, I don't really feel like I'm going to play it, because I haven't played Shenmue 1 or 2, and those games take so long. But, yeah, seeing everything else in the trailer, or seeing everything else in the list of stuff doesn't really interest me. They got Chivalry 2, but I don't know. Looking at that, I don't feel like it needed to be made. Well, I mean, I guess if that company wants to get back in and start competing with, like, the medieval warfare kind of games, because I know that Mordhau is kind of on top right now, and Chivalry used to be on top, so maybe Chivalry 2 will be even better and kind of overtake Mordhau, but I don't know. That's not the kind of style of game that I'm as into. I used to play Chivalry 1, actually, but right now, I'm not really into it. Yeah, nothing else from PC Gamer really interests me, like Warframe, Chris Tales, Vermintide 2. Yeah, nothing else from PC Gamer, so that's like all of my thoughts on that. And then the last but not least is the Devolver Digital show. I think that they looked pretty interesting, actually. I thought it was very funny that they have like a bootleg version of all their games that they actually released. Like, they really made those and released them to the public. It's very good dedication to a meme, and I'm glad to see a company kind of like go with memes and kind of almost like out meme the memers, if that makes any sense. I hate saying the word memers. It sounds so dumb. But it's cool. They're committed to their memes, as well as committed to making good games. I have Enter the Gungeon, but I've only played it a little bit. But seeing House of the Gun Dead as an arcade game with like an actual like cabinet shooter, like, it feels like they just wanted to do something crazy, and they totally did. I appreciate that. DLC for The Messenger. The Messenger looked like a game that I would be very interested in playing, and I just haven't gotten around to playing it. But the DLC, Picnic Panic, being all tropical and stuff, I thought that was very cool as well. I think they're doing a really good job here on their announcements. And then Carrion looks really goddamn scary, but for everybody else in the game, not for the player. You're the one who's the monster who's in control, but it just looks so gross and gory and bloody, and I don't know, just like all the tendrils and Zerg-esque kind of hive feel that they had, where you're just like this gross flesh ball. I don't know, that disgusts me, but I'm intrigued to see how the game turns out. And yeah, those are all my thoughts for Devolver Digital. I think that I covered all of the companies now. I talked about Microsoft, I talked about Nintendo, I talked about Ubisoft, I talked about PC Gamer, I talked about Devolver, I talked about Square Enix, I talked about Bethesda, and EA. I think I already said that. So yeah, those are all of my thoughts on all of the material that was presented in E3 2019. If I had to rate them in order, I would definitely say Nintendo number 1 is the winner. Nintendo number 1. Square Enix number 2. Microsoft number 3. PC Gaming Show number 4. Devolver number 5. EA number 6. And then Bethesda number 7. I think that's all of them. No, I'm missing one. Oh, and then Ubisoft number 8. Or maybe maybe Ubisoft 7, and then Bethesda 8. So Nintendo, Square Enix, Microsoft, PC Gaming, Devolver, EA, Ubisoft, Bethesda, in that order. For me personally, there's probably some people out there who hated all Nintendo stuff, but they loved all the PC gaming stuff, or they loved all the Bethesda stuff. So, yeah. In summary, I am so goddamn hyped for Banjo and Smash, as well as the hero from Dragon Quest. But mainly, the one thing that I wanted from E3 2019 was Banjo. I love Banjo-Kazooie, it's my favorite game of all time. Seeing Banjo and Smash, like my other favorite game of all time, it's been the perfect mesh for me, and I'm on cloud 9. I'm on cloud 10. I'm just very, very happy with how things turned out. Thank y'all for watching. Hopefully you made it all the way to the end, and you appreciate my random thoughts coming out of me brain. And if you want to see more of me doing stuff, you can follow my Instagram and follow my Twitch, because I want to stream again sometime soon, maybe next week. But yeah, there's been a lot of E3 stuff, and it's very exciting. So thank you all for taking the time to watch my video, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.